Well, we're going to touch up. We're going to do another video here. Um, this one here relates more toward it's the talking point basically on backing. Um, I was asked about this a few days ago. Um, Talking points, I can touch on a few things here and there that can be possibly helpful. Um, Whenever I'm in a little bit better situation and I've got what I need and weather's done with it and get regular area, I'll start doing some videos where I can kind of set things up and show you how I have a tendency to actually back into parking spots, which can be used in a number of places. Which, with me pulling a flatbed, I do most of my parking spots are just in a truck stop because we're in a lot of open areas to back into. We do have a few places we go into a machinery where we back into a dock that's got raised walls on each side. We got less than an inch on each side. But for the talking point part of it, I've noticed in most everything I've seen when it comes to backing, most accidents are usually caused from people getting in a hurry. Um, they want to hurry up and get into it. They don't want to take their time. Um, they don't want to get out and look at their surroundings. And it's just, people just get too much of a rush. Slow down. Do not get in a hurry backing. This is where most accidents happen in the trucking industry is in the backing part. Uh, what I can suggest for people getting started out, practice. You want to practice in an open parking lot somewhere. Find a spot that's got several spots open, just by just kind of working with it little by little. Back when I first started, we used to do a counting method, to where we would get right up by the parking spot. Of course, back then it was cab overs, so different lengths, trucks, trailers, and everything now, but it could still work. You get up alongside your parking spot that you're looking at. To your left, it gets by your door. Start counting. Back then, we didn't have much room, so it was like we would count like three to five. 1, 2, 3. Turn the wheel to where we're shooting out at a 45-degree angle. Count 1, 2, 3 to 4, and then we go back to the left to straighten back out in the same direction. 3 to 5, and then we'd stop. Then you look back and then see where you're set up. Thing with backing, I've always noticed it's easier. You're better to overshoot your parking spot than to undershoot it. If you undershoot it and you're not out far enough, it's kind of hard to correct that. Because once you go to pull up to try to correct that, well, you're walking your trailer more toward the center, especially if you're got a row of trucks in front of you or anything in front of you. That pulls that trailer out farther. So if you overshoot it, well, then you just have to pull up just a little bit, straighten it up, and then you can come back a little bit and then get into your turn. And you're not moving that trailer toward the center. Like I said, you take your time backing up. And what I've always done, and so far I've never had an issue with it, like I said, almost 30 years, always hug the side you can see. You got a truck on that corner, and you got his fender, his hood, his mirror, and everything sitting right there. Get as close to it as you can without hitting it. That way you know you've got room on your backside. Because even when I was doing reefers and box trucks, when you're backing up, you got a tail swing. So you want to keep that tail swing as close to you as possible away from your blind side. And like I said, don't get into a rush. People start doing this and they're going to turn their wheel all the way over. No. Baby steps. Turn it maybe one round or a half round or so, a little bit at a time. Move a little bit. And if you any questions at all, any concerns, stop the truck, set the brakes, get out and walk around to that blind side. Walk in behind it. See how much room you have between the one that you're hugging to make sure you're going to not, hit his mirror or hit his fender, but get as close as you can to it. Gives you more room on the other side because it's easier to adapt. Um, like I said, once you start working into that position there, and you start, learning to kind of hug that, that's when I might start out in an open spot, hug that line. 'Cause some trucks are going to be short of that line. Some are going to stick out. Like me, when I park into a spot, I'm extra long. I stick out of my parking spot at a good 5 feet most of the time. Um, Practice that way. Open spot. Nothing around it. Till you get a pretty good idea and you get comfortable with it. And then you go to a spot that has like a drop trailer. So you still got something there, but it don't come all the way up. and it's less likely you're going to hit something like that. And if you do, it's not going to be very minimal damage if you end up hitting something and have to pay for it versus a truck sitting there. And then next step, find 2 trailers side by side with a spot in the middle. And then you can start kind of working into that. Because by then you've already got it to where you know where your tail swing's going to be, you know how it's going to work out. Then, you're getting by next to another truck. Then, like I said, you're working your way up slowly, and now you're ready to start backing in where there's trucks around. This is where it gets to be more chaotic, more stressful, back into the spots because you don't want to hit nothing. Myself, when you first pull into a parking lot, you see your first parking spot, don't grab it unless it's really easy and you can just wheel around, pull straight forward and straight back. Drive around. Always look for the easiest one. If you don't got to back up, don't. Drive around and you find one you can nose into, circle from the back to drive straight through. You're not going to have an accident, but you're eventually going to have to back up. But if you don't have to, don't. You want to do that. Avoid backing if you can. Avoid blindside backing. Granted, I've been doing it for many years. I've got hood mirrors, regular mirrors. I've learned to use them over the years. But first starting out, it's hard to judge. It really, really is. If you stuck where you have to blindside, only move a few feet at a time. Move a few feet, get out and look. Look, roll your passenger window down where you stunt the brakes, stick your head out that window and look. Get out, run around, look. Just do a few feet at a time. Blindside, take your time. The main thing about backing, take your time. Don't get into a hurry because that's when accidents happen. And like I said, whenever, this counting thing that I was talking about, that works with just about everything. If you're going to pull alongside and you're going to nose up straight forward, I get up there, about the time my drives or so, my landing gear gets right about where the spot is, and then I just start my right turn, and I just let it swing around there, and then I'll go till and I'm watching my tail swing out my mirror, and I look for either 1 or 2 vehicles away from that area, because you get to where you can just start to see the vehicle that's on the far right side of your parking spot, and then you start to straighten up. By the time you're starting to straighten back out, well, then it's going to bring that tail swing back around and to line up with the spot. I always try to line it up to where I'm a little past it because I can adapt for that, to where I'm not very seldom when I straight perpendicular like this with my parking spot. I'm usually angled just a little bit. That way I've got a little more to work with on that. It just makes it easier for me. But like I said, there's only so many things you could say to try to help someone to back up versus being able to go out and set stuff up, show you how you're, turning the wheel. It's like if you want your trailer to go to the left, you're turning your wheel to the right. It's the opposite effect. You want it to be going to the right, and you're turning your wheel to your left. But it's always about small steps at a time, because you overcorrect, you're going to get frustrated. Just sit back, take a breath, and just, try it from a different standpoint. Always just, small steps. Like I said, it's just, I've even got, like I said, I've showed people before on my mirrors. I've left them on here when I bought my truck. It's got that little sticker that sets up on there and it says, goal, get out and look. Like I said, you got any questions whatsoever about what you're doing, you think, well, I wonder. If you wonder, get your butt out there and look, because there's a good chance you may be off just a little bit, or you're almost to the point where you may end up tapping into something. The safest thing is to take your time, get out and look, make sure you're where you're headed for. These are just small talking points. I may come up with a few more along the way, but I'm going to try to get some stands and stuff set up to where I can kind of start showing people in some of these areas, that, little tutorials about, backing. It's never going to be an easy feat because each place you go to, skinnier spots, you got shorter areas, less areas. Like some of these truck stops get so tight. And if they're really tight, don't take the chance, especially if you're a new driver. You may end up having to go to a new area or a different area to go park or whatever, but it's better that than to hit somebody's truck or tear something up that's going to cost you a lot of money in the long run. I'm kind of a firm believer in that. I always myself, I don't go into those tight spots. I head to the back of the parking lot because it's safer. Less people go back there to back into. Everybody wants to fight for that front door parking spot. I park in the back so I can walk, get a little exercise, and I'm less likely to be bothered unless I always try to park my spot truck in a spot where I can't get blocked in, to where whenever I get back in, I can drive straight right out and leave. That's the easiest way to do it, but it doesn't always happen in shippers and receivers. I mean, over the years, I've been in some that were so tight they really weren't made for these longer 53-foot trailers and longer trucks, because back in the day, 40, 45 footers, city trucks, and now they got us over the road drivers going in. Uh, it's all about just taking your time, getting plenty of practice in, and if you have to have someone come out to spot you because you feel really unsafe, they tell you not to because, you're still going to be responsible if you hit something, but yeah, that's true, but it always helps to have an extra set of eyes. There's nobody, even the driver beside you, hey, can you help me? I don't want to hit your truck. He's going to say, yeah, I'll come out there and help because he don't want you to hit his truck. That's for dang sure. I know I don't. I've helped many people out along the way, so just don't get in a hurry. Try not to get into something that looks near and impossible until you become fairly experienced. So, like I said, there's different ways. Right now, all I come up with is, counting your way, working it, for the talking points. But when it's going to be coming to showing you different ways of backing into, I'll do some from inside the cab. But you see what I see when I look out my mirrors or out the side of the window. It's like when you're driving, going through your trucking school, and they teach you, you roll the window down, you can't stick your arm out there. Well, you're not in there no more. Roll that window down, look out that window, stick your head out that window. You're not familiar with the mirrors, you're not used to the mirrors, stick your head out that window. And there's times I open my door and hold on to that door to where I can stick my head, really get a good look at where I'm getting if it's that tight. And if you have to, you have to, because it's going to keep you from, hitting something, tearing something up. It's always a good idea. I mean, I'm not afraid to take and stick my head out the door and not use the mirrors because I don't want to tear nothing up. So like I said, don't be afraid to stick your head out that, get all the angles you can possibly get. Take it slow, take it easy, back it in. Double check, get out and look, all you have to. People may get upset that you're doing it, but if you hit somebody and get hung up, you could block the whole thing up for hours, and I think they would rather sit there and wait 5 minutes for you to back in. They'll get over it. Everybody does. But as a new person, take your time. That's the best bet. Don't be afraid to look out that window, open that, do whatever you got to do in order to do it safe. So until we get around to doing some of these other videos to where you can actually see how I, snug into and how that, we'll just kind of leave it here at this. So you just keep following, keep looking for the new videos to come out. Say like them, share them, subscribe to them. That way you know when they're coming out. And then we'll get you guys on the next one.